finally starts to back off, sucking his teeth and rubbing his hands together. He slowly walks backwards a few steps, then makes his way to his car, gets in, and drives off. I stay motionless, watching him, until I could no longer see his taillights. I got Clara's car loaded up on the tow truck. As we made our way to the dealership, her car had shut off while she was driving. She pulled onto his shoulder and called her parents, because she was on their insurance. Her parents made the call to the insurance company, who eventually dispatched me to her location. While she was waiting, right after she made the call, the guy pulled up in front of her and walked up to her passenger side window and tried to talk to her, asking if she needed help, etc. She told him she was fine, that a tow truck was coming, and she didn't need any help. He persisted. She tried to tell him off. Eventually, she tried to roll up the window. Apparently, he was able to stick his arm in the window and got the door unlocked and open the door. So in fear, she jumped out of the car, leaving her phone inside, and ran to the back of her car and stayed put there, because he was in the line of sight of traffic. Apparently, he was pretty lewd with her. Whenever she tried to go back to the car, he would prevent her from getting in. Several minutes later, I showed up. Who knows what would have happened had the timing been any different. Her parents were waiting at the dealership when we arrived, and she told them what had just happened. Her parents also gave me a $20 tip, which was all the cash they had on me at the time. Cara gave me a very tight and fairly heartfelt hug before I left. I never saw her again. I'll tell you what, every guy has probably daydreamed at some point of coming to the rescue of a beautiful girl in trouble, myself included. You think you're gonna act like a superhero, and you're gonna be the cat's ass. But for me, being in that situation, in that moment, was one of the most terrible feelings I've ever had in my life. Being forced into a confrontation I didn't want, nor was prepared for. Not knowing what to expect from a clearly not well unhinged individual. I didn't feel like the cat's ass. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like a scared little kid encountering a bully on the playground for the first time. If I'm never in a situation like that, I will never not intervene though. I just really hope I don't have to.
See? Sometimes it comes to a point you have to already be prepared.
I was spending a couple weeks in Montana last year. I had a camper I was living out of, set up on the back of my truck, so I was usually parking on campgrounds or wherever there was public land. This was one of my last days, so I had to start heading back from the direction I came. Unfortunately, I had a bit of trouble with my truck that day, and it took most of the day to fix. So by the time the sun was setting, I barely made any progress on my drive. I got a coffee from a gas station and decided to go at least for 2 more hours, then find somewhere to camp out the night. Over the next little bit that I was driving, the road cleared up and was pretty much all to myself.
Hey, I was like, no, cause look, I was editing it at first, like, I was just playing, like playing it back through and just looking at it, and then like played through the whole video. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep it like that, cause like that bitch got to do, it put a touch on it. I ain't gonna lie. So like, all right. So what's your favorite part though?
The corner, just enough so I could see out the window. Someone else's headlights were coming down the path. As they got closer and up to the end of the path, they slowed to a stop. It looked like they saw me and maybe didn't want to camp the same spot, but instead of turning around, they just stayed there on the end of the path. I could see that it was a truck, pretty old looking, with rust all over their front bumper, but the headlights were too bright to see much of anything else. Since they were still on the path, too, their truck was facing directly at me and blocking the whole way out. Something about this felt off.